Hi, I'm Jennifer Collins. This is week 4 of the University of Dayton TEFL certificate. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, this is Carolina Carrillo. So let's start checking this week's homework.
Okay, good. Um, so it says choose 4 of the approaches, and then put the name of the approach in the column on the left and fill the blanks with in the other columns. So the name of the approaches that I chose, deductive or inductive grammar. Did you do that? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
grammar translation
No.
method. Whoops. Grammar translation method. I'm sorry.
I chose that one too, the grammar translation.
Okay, good. So then deductive or inductive, I'll just do the whole, what I had for this. I had deductive. I had focus on written language. I had primarily uses first language. I had language is highly structured. Did you have any differences?
The only difference I have is about the use of both languages instead of just
Ah,
like the target language. I think it's both.
ah, maybe I didn't understand that very well because I understood that they were translating and that some instruction actually happened in the first language, maybe. Like if I were teaching like Spanish grammar, I would teach it in English or something like that. But maybe I was
Well,
confused. But I wasn't sure.
well,
But
but
you're
that's
right
a good
because,
question. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good question
But you're also right
because
because, go ahead. Sorry.
no, it depends on the way you see it. So it can be either both languages or you see like the target language. So,
Hmm.
well, maybe we can check what people comment in the forum, maybe.
Okay. So I'll make a note
Well,
here.
okay. I chose the direct method too.
Good.
I don't know if you wrote
Hmm.
about this one. So it is inductive.
Hmm.
It is focused on oral language,
Yep.
primarily uses target language, and
Yep.
is highly structured.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any differences?
Oh, the only one I did was that it said language is natural. Mine says that. I think I pulled up the PowerPoint. We can go back maybe and check. Um, Here we go.
Okay. But I think they are like focused on grammar, so maybe that's why it can be highly structured. Well, but we can check.
Ah, well, it says, okay, grammar is taught inductively. Teaching is done by modeling and practice, concrete vocabulary taught by demonstration, objects, pictures, abstract vocabulary. Correct pronunciation and grammar are emphasized. Yeah, you're totally right. I misunderstood. I only thought because it said this is a naturalistic approach to language teaching. That's why I thought it was language is natural.
It's that some things are not like really obvious, right? So you have
Yeah,
like to read twice to.
I know.
No, it's because it's kind of tricky. You
Yeah,
see, so it's like
yeah,
yeah, it's not that easy like
yeah.
to label every approach. Okay, what did you choose for
Ah,
number 3?
audiolingual was my next one. So I said it was inductive. I said focus on oral language, primarily uses target language. Language is natural. What
Okay,
did
I
you
have
say?
the same ones,
Oh,
exactly
good,
the same ones.
good.
And for natural approach, I have inductive, oral language, target language, and natural.
Okay. For mine, I did also total physical response. And for the last one, I said inductive, focus on oral language, primarily uses target language, and language is natural. But I'm not sure actually if it's that natural. It might be more structured.
No, but I think it's about, yeah, like something like very natural. So it's in that sense, it could be very similar to the natural approach, though it involves, like uh, physical response.
So I know that, sorry, just this is just a side question. I know that a lot of, well, University of Dayton books, some of the books for younger levels use total physical response. Is that right?
Yes, it is right. Yeah, of course you cannot do like this all the time when you're in a preschool class, but it's like
Uh-huh.
a main component, let's say,
Uh-huh.
or main ingredient in one of in the books. So yeah, it is something that teachers really like.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering, because I know that you probably have a lot more experience with that. That is like for young classes, that's not really my area, but I know you may have a little bit more experience with that, so that's why I was wondering.
Yeah, you're
Cool.
right. This type of technique is included. Okay, so now we have like to talk about drawbacks
Ah,
and benefits.
mm-hmm. We could do grammar translation. I did that.
Okay.
So I said one benefit, well, from my perspective, one benefit is that students learn a lot about grammar. And one drawback is that the language study is probably kind of boring, and students may not be able to use it to actually speak to people.
Right.
But
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
boring is a
right.
big drawback.
Yeah, that's a big one. Definitely. Okay, for benefits, well, I have translation of words is really accurate. So
Um,
you're going like trying to find like words that really fit, like
mhm,
the content. But the drawback is that the students don't get used to think in the target language.
mhm, mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think this is a big problem because you don't always get like an equivalent
Mhm.
for words or expressions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I think about grammar translation.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
good.
did you write about direct method?
I did. Okay, I said one benefit is that students may be able to speak well. Oh, after a long time studying using this method, they may be able to speak very well, and clearly and fluently and naturally. But one drawback is they may not be able to infer all of the rules without help. So, like, it might be tough to figure out some of the grammatical rules without having someone break it down, since it's so inductive.
Yeah, that's really important. A good point. You're right. Okay, well, I wrote, well, for benefits, students are in contact with the L2 all the time. So the
Mhm.
teacher is going to address them in the target language.
Mhm.
But this is precisely the drawback. The teacher is supposed to be a native speaker or to have a really high level of
Oh,
proficiency.
oh, yeah. Oh, that's
So
kind of unfair.
if the teacher is not like, like very, very, let's say, experienced with the language, it's not going to work.
Yeah, good. Do you want me to do audio lingual?
Audiolingual, yes, I have that as a benefit that students are focused on pronunciation and oral expression. So that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes repetition may not result meaningful for students.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
have an example. I think, well, it was not this week, but last week we were like in a presentation of, let's say, one of the platforms we're supposed to be working with.
Mm-hmm.
And well, this is an institute, so it's like a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
And one example is that, let's say, there's like a character, let's say, I don't remember, Mr. Grammar, Mr. Whatever, was
Okay.
asking the student to repeat, "My name is Mr. Grammar." So,
Ah. Ah.
see, this is not meaningful at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm clear
Yes,
enough.
you are very clear. No, actually, that's exactly what I wrote for this too, because I've had some friends who have learned Spanish specifically with this method, or I don't know, I think it was popular, maybe 20 years ago when a lot of my friends were in school. And one friend particularly came to visit me, And she had this whole speech about how her car broke down and it was in the mechanic shop and that she'll get it back on Thursday. But she doesn't really understand what she's saying. She just says it.
Yeah,
She still remembers it like 20 years later, but she doesn't really know what. And it's like
that's
she
the
was saying
point.
it to me, and I was like, oh, that's really weird. Like, what a weird,
Yeah, that's really weird.
what
It's
a
like
weird
saying
thing.
something without knowing what you're saying, like,
Uh
yeah,
huh.
uh,
Yeah.
it's totally meaningless. Yeah.
But the benefit is true. It is true that actually people who learn with that method, the people who I've met, their pronunciation actually tends to be pretty decent. Like they're probably better actually than some people who will learn in a more naturalistic kind of approach where they're not memorizing a speech. Sometimes their pronunciation, they can speak really clearly, but they don't really know what they're saying. It's really weird. It's like kind of
Yeah,
dangerous.
it's kind of funny, right?
Oh.
What
Um,
about total
oh yeah,
physical
for the
response?
last one, I said, okay, one benefit is that the language instruction is active and physical and probably pretty engaging. And then one drawback is the lack of focus on reading, because it talks about how there wasn't much.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point too. Mm. So,
Oh, you had that probably too then. I'm just realizing that I did one for for all of these. Did you have something for total physical?
well, I think that kids understand concepts through sensorial experience, and that's like very good.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess this approach is not suitable for adults unless they are in a playing situation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be like weird, like to
Yeah.
ask
Yeah.
grown ups like to do this type of things,
Yeah.
exercises.
Yeah. Although I totally do make my students mime things sometimes, like do actions sometimes.
Yeah,
But
but
probably
it's
it's
not
not
all
the
the time,
same.
right?
Yeah, no, not all the time at all.
But that's great. People really enjoy, like these kind of things when it's like something that surprises them, like they
Totally.
don't expect this to be included in the class. That's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
And I have something for the natural approach.
I do too. Good.
Uh, okay, so student space is like respected.
Mm.
Uh, but the drawback would be that students may become fluent, but they may not be that good at writing.
Mm. Yeah. I
So
said, yeah, I think that's true. I said one benefit would be the focus on games, probably. But one drawback, I actually wonder, so I wonder about this. You know how they talked about the silent period when students were sort of allowed to absorb information? I kind of feel like with the students I've taught, if I gave them a silent period, like they would disappear. Like students seem to lose motivation during silent periods.
yes, and if
Yeah.
you're not like asking them to participate, they may feel the class is like teacher centered. So
Yeah.
that would be very boring for them.
Yeah. 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 It also puts so much pressure on the teacher. Like I mean, obviously, it's important to be in charge of your class, but I also don't like to be the only focus of attention in the class. You know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it has to be balanced.
Okay, so speaking of that, how did your practice teaching go?
It's going well, but like there are like many people that have quit.
The class?
Maybe, yeah, because of the schedule.
Yeah.
You're talking about my class, right? The one I
Yeah,
teach.
because
Yeah.
I think that was one of the last things that we were asked to talk about, like
Okay, yeah. We were supposed
our practice.
to record
Uh-huh.
this week. Yeah, I
Yeah.
recorded yesterday's class and it
Uh-huh.
was great, but I had like four or
Mm-hmm.
five people.
Okay.
Yeah, the point is that sometimes they have like to go to the university, so maybe it's like too early for them to wake up. I mean, like to get
Yeah. Yeah.
uh yeah, to get to class like before 7. And well, well, actually, some people from human resources like made a survey about like these reasons
Uh-huh.
about well, that would explain why they decided to quit, and they said that they lack motivation, self motivation. So it's something you cannot deal with. I mean,
I
yeah,
agree.
you're there and you invite people, but it's difficult to keep, like the whole class. So
Yeah.
I'm still working for the ones that I have. So
Yeah.
I hope to do this uh, till June, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an optional class. Students are, like I agree. It's really hard to keep people there if it's optional. I mean, I think it's important to remember that that everybody has lives and that they need, that the people go on vacation. There are always things that
Yeah.
happen. Honestly, I think if we have students at the end,
How
it'll
many
be like
students do you have?
awesome.
How many do you
I
have?
think I only had like, well, let me think. I think I only had like four maybe as well.
So it's like the same I have, yeah. And
Mhm.
you started with like 10 or 9 or 10?
Maybe something like that. Like, yeah, around that. I don't think I've ever had 9 or 10 students in the class. I don't think ever.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe I did by for the first day
Yeah.
more.
But I don't think that necessarily means anything. Like people just get busy. It's kind of to be expected. I mean, I have classes, like I've taught classes, I'm sure you have too, where you have people and students who are actually trying to get a grade. They actually need the class to pass or to graduate. And even then, students drop out. So, like, what can you do? Like, that's
Yeah.
just how it goes.
And the point is that, well, these classes are, or this course is for free, and I think people don't really appreciate that. So
They're free.
they didn't pay. Yeah, it's everything for free. I mean, they just like to get a textbook. That's called
Whoa.
Prep for Life. You must know
Wow.
this material.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
but it was like really, really cheap.
Yeah.
So they don't care because they didn't pay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, they should make them pay. At our office, they did have to pay. They had to pay, I don't know, it wasn't very much money. It was like amazingly low for like basically for the kind of quality that they're getting. But no, they had to pay for our office. That's interesting. Huh. Okay, but
okay,
how do you feel like it went?
I think it's going, like, I mean, for me, it's interesting like to see that the people I thought didn't know much are like learning lots of things.
Yeah.
I've seen their progress. That's
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
Yeah. I know.
You
I feel
feel
the
good,
same way.
like you're doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's amazing. Like I have students who, my students are like A2 level, so they came in at A2, and they were not very fluent in the beginning. Like they would say things, but it was a lot of times I didn't understand, or I understood because I work with students like that, but it wasn't like they were speaking in a very clear or ordered way. And now a lot of them are, like really completing full sentences. Some students who came in and they could barely kind of like they could barely share an idea are like clearly sharing ideas. They have some sentences without errors at all. It's really pretty impressive. I'm happy about
That's
that.
great.
Yeah.
So
And
are you finishing the course by June?
that's
You
the
expect
plan.
to finish it by June?
That's the plan.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's like mid-April,
Yeah.
May, June. Yeah, so it's like 1 more and a half.
1 month and a half left, yeah. Ah, yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Is it the end of June or is it June? I have to check the schedule again. I can't remember.
I guess it's by the end of June that we're like
Hmm.
finishing. Maybe
Yep,
June
we're more than
20th.
halfway through. That's good. Yay.
Yeah.
Well, good. The
Okay, so
one,
but
the
I'm
one
glad like to
thing.
see.
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
glad to see we're like kind of like
Yeah,
sharing the same experience, the same situation about like students like not coming
yeah,
to the
yeah,
classes anymore.
yeah.
That's great. I mean, like to see that's not only happening to us.
The one thing that I feel like I'm struggling with these practice classes is making sure that there's enough like activity in the session that or the section that I pick because sometimes I don't know that part is really difficult for me because I'm not always sure that there's enough to show. I don't tend I've been trying with this class not to do very much explaining of grammar and stuff to like limit the explanation. And I find the
Mhm.
class works so much better and the students are still learning a lot of the grammar. Like a lot of my goals for them, I feel like they learn even maybe more than they did when I was explaining a lot of grammar. So this is something that's sort of new for me. But but because I'm not explaining a lot of grammar, I'm not sure if I'm really showing me teaching like in the way that they want through this course. Do you know what I mean? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I know what you mean. Yeah, but I think it's great not to focus on grammar.
Yeah,
I mean, all the time.
yeah,
Well, I used to be, let's say, like a grammatical person. Well, because I like to do things right. But for these, let's say, beginners, I think it's more interesting, like to know about content and some
yeah,
other stuff because that way they get motivated.
yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
they get bored. When you realize you study grammar all the time, yeah, it's like boring. Like you don't want
Hmm.
to go to class.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that like, yeah, what I think about the teaching grammar for these levels.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. All right. Do you have any other thoughts? Anything else you want to share about the practice teaching?
No, no, I think that's all.
Okay, good.
So
All right, well then, until next week. I think next week's maybe the last hangout
I guess
probably for this for this module. So until next week.
so. Okay,
See
Jennifer.
you.
Till next
Have a
week.
nice
See
week.
you.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.